there's really no good place to start. I think with all that's happened over the past couple days, but I definitely don't want this to be something where I just sit around and talk. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know your opinions. What kind of an open thing, whatever you guys want to talk about. Really interested. I've obviously, like we all have been reading a lot of opinions and different angles with the firing, the hiring. Sam finally announcing that he's not going to take up on that extra year, that he's going to try for the draft. But definitely want to hear what you guys have to say, and we'll highlight some comments as well. I'll give kind of my thoughts to open up. So kind of a broad topic here today. But thank you guys for chiming in on a 3:00 afternoon. But and definitely don't forget to give this video a like, share it out, tag some people on here that you think might want to chime in and join the conversation. But I guess to start off, kind of my overall thoughts about them letting go of Herman. Not too surprised. I think where I was most surprised and caught off guard was we're only 3 weeks removed from them saying that he was going to remain the coach. I think what happened through December just started to compile to where they kind of felt like they had to do a complete 180. I think the loss to Iowa State, some of the decommits, and recruiting chatter, recruiting rumors, what of that is true, I don't know. But I think that was the only part where I was really kind of surprised with just the 180 about face that they did from what they said, I think around December 10th or 12th. So, but on the flip side of that, I'm not too surprised with the move, just kind of considering the results. Is the program in a better place right now than it was during and at the end of the Charlie Strong era? Absolutely. But still, when you only go to one conference championship game and, when you don't win a conference if you're not going to be in the national title hunt, you got to win your conference. Okay. You got to at least go to your conference championship game and consistently beat Oklahoma. Herman only did that once. So it comes down to it. He just didn't accomplish the goals. And if you're not accomplishing your goals, you're not doing your job. So, maybe the job at Texas was a little bit bigger than him. I don't know. There's all kinds of speculation and chatter and losing the locker room and all that type of stuff. Obviously, this year was insane for everybody. Bringing in almost a completely new coaching staff for 2020 that couldn't build anything during the spring, no normal, consistent summer off-season workout program. And yes, everybody went through that, but not everybody was ushering in a nearly completely new coaching staff either, including two new coordinators. So given that, I was a little surprised at the move, this year. I was thinking, okay, they're going to give him one more year and just see, right? But the Alamo Bowl was a week ago, 6 days ago, and we got this news, over the weekend. So, this was in the works before the Alamo Bowl, no question about it. And hey, did Sam know? Did that kind of play into his decision and knowing that this thing wasn't going to return? Maybe. I don't know. Obviously, a great showing at the Alamo Bowl. It's Colorado, So should Texas beat an unranked Colorado like that? Yeah, probably. But I think it was just too much, right? Too many things piled up. Decommits in recruiting, not beating TCU. You can't lose to TCU. You can't lose to Iowa State. You got to overcome. You got to win, right? One win, one loss a season, kind of expected. Two losses, okay, you can overcome that. You just can't continue to lose to teams that you should beat. And you can't keep getting so excited about beating TCU and multiple overtimes. And should the Texas Longhorns beat Oklahoma State? Yeah, they should. Oklahoma State's a good team, no doubt about it. They have NFL caliber talent, but you should win. You shouldn't be out of your mind excited about an overtime win against the Pokies. So, overall, not too surprised. But I think Longhorns fans are way more excited about the firing than they are about the hiring of Steve Sarkisian. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know a lot about Sarkisian. I know he was a Pac-12 guy for a while, Washington, USC. I think he was the quarterbacks coach at USC when Texas won the national championship. So he coached Matt Leinart, coached a Heisman winner, one of the best offenses in the history of college football. I find it funny that a lot of fans are pointing to the fact that he's Alabama's offensive coordinator, which is interesting, but he's only been there for like 2 years. I think he was there and then he went to the Atlanta Falcons, then he came back like 2 years ago, 2018, I think. And, yeah, he got to coach Tua, Jerry Jeudy, Jalen Waddle, Najee Harris, Devontae Smith. Come on. Like he had the best offensive talent in the country. Alabama can sometimes go 3 deep on their offensive line. So, yes, it's cool. It's exciting. What that might do for recruiting is going to be interesting to see, I think. The fact that he can kind of point to that success. But, I just kind of have a big bag of meh feeling about Steve Sarkisian. I hope I eat my words. I hope I'm wrong. I'm not saying that he's not going to do a good job. I do like the fact that he's at least had many years in big time conference play. Not as as it's been a while since he's been the head coach, Washington, USC, but at least he has that experience, right? Where Herman came in from Houston and Charlie Strong came in with just a few years from Louisville. So, guys, feel free to drop your comments and let me know what you think about all this. Like I said, this is kind of an open discussion about Herman, Sarkisian, Sam Ehlinger leaving, and the Alamo Bowl too, right? What stood out to you in the game? I'll kind of throw my thoughts there. But those are kind of my overall thoughts on Sarkisian. I did want to go over Herman's record in 4 years. Charlie Strong got 4 years. Herman got 4 years. 2017, 7-6 with the win in the Texas Bowl. 2018, 10-4 with an appearance in the Big 12 championship game, and then the Sugar Bowl win over Georgia. Last year, 8-5 with a win in the Alamo Bowl over Utah, who essentially was the Pac-12 number 2. And of course, this year, 7-3 with Alamo Bowl win over Colorado. Now, remember the Kansas game was canceled. Should Texas have beaten Kansas? Would they have beaten Kansas? Yeah, probably. That would have put it at 8-3. What we know and what we saw, from LSU this year, obviously an incredibly down year. They were just entire roster was stripped to the NFL. So this thing easily could have been a 10-win season. But given the games that were actually played and the results, it's a disappointing season. No question. Had you been able to string together more wins and not drop TCU or Iowa State, I think things would have been different. But I think we just saw too much, too much of the same. So, and I think that was kind of pulling the plug. Just kind of felt like things are running in place, right? And this was the year, right? This 2020 roster with a senior 4-year starter at quarterback, um, uh, veterans on the offensive line, veteran, at running back, um, receiver core that still had some inconsistencies, but veterans on defense, some 2-3 year starters on defense. This was the roster. This thing should have been there. So it's while I'm always the first one to say, just because you're making a change doesn't mean you're making a better change, right? Um, but I just think across the board, it was just kind of a thing. Too many things are staying the same, and not enough goals were getting accomplished. So not too surprised. A couple comments on Sam. Absolutely not surprised that Sam Ehlinger is leaving the program so much more pursuing an NFL career. I love Sam. He's just not an NFL quarterback. You don't watch him throw the ball and think of Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers or even Justin Herbert, right? He's a tough kid, all the heart in the world. He's a Tim Tebow-like quarterback, just that type of playing style. And that's just not an NFL thrower, right? In the NFL, you have to be a precise thread the needle. You've got to zip that ball, and he's just not that. I think he'll get a shot in the NFL on a team. I don't see him being an NFL starter, but just a few words of his time at Texas. He's absolutely, without question, the type of leader and the type of quarterback that you just hope you find, for your college program. Not only just from the fact that he's a lifelong Longhorns fan, he's from the Austin area. So just that whole homegrown, the type of guy that is a lifelong member of the program. I've said countless times, Sam has so much more to leverage for the rest of his life, leverage his time at Texas than he does, I think, with what is possible in the NFL. These former stars who come back to the Austin area and leverage their name, open up businesses around Austin, make autograph appearances, sponsorship deals, things like that. To me, Sam, there's much more long-term, lifelong impact and opportunity and money available for him leveraging his time at Texas than anything I think is he is potentially going to achieve in the NFL. I hope I'm wrong. It would be awesome to see him, be a Pro Bowl NFL quarterback. But just keep in mind, it's been a decade since we've had somebody, a legitimate, unquestioned starter at Texas. I know a lot of fans feel like we just need to move on. Like we've got to see what Casey Thompson has. We got to see what Hudson Card has. I totally get that. But again, just remember, it's been a decade, right? Sam is one of those quarterbacks that we call by one name. When people say Sam, you're going to know who they mean. When people talk about Colt McCoy, we just say Colt. When people talk about Vince Young, we just say Vince. When people talk about Chris Sims, we say Chris Sims, right? Nobody just says Chris or even Sims, right? Major, maybe Major, right? Sam is one of those one name legacy guys. So, I'm incredibly sad to see him go, but I get it, right? I wouldn't be surprised at all if he feels like it's better for the overall program if he moves on, then let's get these young guys in there. Let's get an offense going with Casey or Hudson, Bijan, Cavante Dixon, like some of these younger guys. Obviously, Brennan Eagles is gone. Sam Cosme's gone. Kirk Sutter's a senior. He's gone. Apparently, Keontae Ingram is still transferring. We haven't heard anything specific on that. I haven't, at least. But I think we know. I think we know who the running back is, right? It's Bijan. And just a couple of things about the Alamo Bowl. He looked amazing. I have no idea why he disappeared in the second quarter, right? And maybe that's another part of this, personnel decisions, right? Guys averaging, I don't know, 800 yards a carry. and he just disappears in the second quarter, comes back in the second half, just explodes again. He looked awesome. Casey Thompson looked amazing. And throwing the ball, right? He was throwing it downfield. He was on the money. It wasn't these just like a little, dink dunk pass. Defense looked great. The young guys looked great. Collins was awesome. He made that awesome interception. David Gabinda looked good at linebacker. So it was cool to see some of these guys step up, getting some of the young guys time on the offensive line. They looked good. So overall, yes. Should you do that against Colorado? Yeah, probably. But, they blew them out. Back-to-back blowout wins, really. Kansas State and Colorado. Oh, Dennis says there's a rumor circulating out there that something big will drop about Tom in the next few weeks. There's always a lot of rumors. I don't know. I don't know if that's referring to like something recruiting wise or something personal with him. I don't know, maybe. Jose says Herman was only going to get worse. Maybe. I kind of felt like it was just too much of the same thing. We're just it was like running in the mud, right? Where Charlie Strong never had a winning season. Herman is just kind of the same stuff over and over, right? It's cool to win games, but you got to do something significant, right? You have to accomplish something. You got to win your conference. Win a conference. What else, guys? Let's see. What else? Oh, they're the comments. Sorry, I wasn't. They weren't popping up there. David says Charlie Strong got 3 years. Get that right. Oh, that's right. No, you're right. I think I said 4 years. Yeah, Strong got 3 years. Never had a winning season, which is a lot different than having 4 winning seasons and 4 bowl wins. Travis says, if Herman was coming back, would Sam have left? If Herman didn't get fired, would Sam have? Yeah, I kind of alluded to that earlier and thinking that, maybe Sam knew. I mean, obviously the decision makers knew. I mean, the game was Tuesday. So, obviously Herman knew, obviously, Crystal Conte knew all that stuff. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Sam knew and he was just like, hey, this is it. That Sam had made up his mind, knew what was going to happen. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Do I think he might have come back? Maybe, but I would overall I would say no. I know a few weeks ago, the Senior Bowl, one of the sponsors is Panini America, and I posted on the page. I know a lot of people with that company. I used to work with them because I'm in that sports collectibles and sports trading card and memorabilia industry, and they had posted something about Sam accepting his invite to the Senior Bowl. Well, if you accept your invite to the Senior Bowl, that's a pretty big indication that you're going to go and practice and play, right? Which means you're gone. So that was my first confirmation without hearing anything official from Sam. And that was at least 3 or 4 weeks ago. Jack says, I'm concerned about the coaching merry-go-round that we are now really hurt recruiting, especially with selection. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, absolutely. That kind of goes back to my point of kind of be careful what you wish for. You know, recruits looking at this program, seeing this turnover rate, not just with Tom Herman, but with how Tom Herman kind of cleaned house last year, new offensive coordinator. What am I going into? Not just will this new coach be there in 3 or 4 years, but what are his philosophies? What are his ideas? Is he going to keep Chris Ash? Is he going to, is he going to call the plays? Um, I just went blank. Drayton, running back coach, apparently many reports out that he's staying. Strength coach is out. So it's like, what is this program? Who are they? What are they going to do? How are they going to use what they have? So yeah, I absolutely concerned. Wouldn't you be concerned if you were a high school junior or senior? I mean, put yourself in their shoes. Nima says Herman lost recruits consistently, and the number of players entering the portal, a poor game. Yeah, look, there's a lot of players that enter the portal all over the country, but in mostly for reasons because they want playing time. I think Jaquindon Jackson kind of saw that. I think Keontae Ingram kind of saw that Bijan was going to be the guy. So, but did Herman have an impact on some of that? Probably. I think maybe he had more of an impact on these guys opting out and declaring for the draft. While at the same time, I think that's more of a indication of how college football bowl games and stuff are viewed anyway. A big part of me thinks that the 4-game playoff has really hurt players' perception of the bowl game, right? A Cotton Bowl that's not part of the 4, the top 4 and how they rotate it, doesn't mean as much anymore. But I always go back to the fact that some of these superstar guys have a whole lot to leverage for their college careers than a lot of them end up doing in the NFL. Clay says, I was a Tom Herman supporter for the entirety of his tenure, but the writing was on the wall. Wish Tom the best. A change needed to be made. Will Sarkisian get it done? Yeah, I mean, I totally it's all just up in the air, right? It's easy to be excited about no more Tom Herman, but if you're not excited about what's coming, that's not good. Like that's an across the board negative. Like, don't just make a change for change's sake. That doesn't make sense to me, but hopefully I'm wrong. Nima says, keep Stan Drayton and Chris Ash unless a surefire defensive coordinator. Yeah, and there's some reports out there about Will Muschamp already being offered the job. I read another one this morning that he was offered it and he's turned it down already. I don't know. I did see a few defensive players tweeting to keep Ash, right? That they should keep Ash. Kat says Herman doesn't look healthy at the bowl game. He looked pale and like he's been losing weight. I don't know, Kat. Maybe. I think if any of us had that job by the end of the 2020 season, we would look like that. But yeah, I mean, I the only 2 times I've been around Herman in person were at the Big 12 Media Days. Not this, not in 2020, but the previous 2 years. And, he always came across as a guy with a lot of confidence, maybe with a little kind of pent up attitude, maybe attitude's not the right word, but, he didn't seem like the job was too big for him. I don't think so. Maybe all the personnel decisions and trying to be a play calling coach while also trying to organize everything and doing Longhorn Network and all that crap. Being in Austin, maybe some of that kind of played a factor in it. But you know, I've listened to as many press conferences as you guys have. I've been to a few. I sat there and listened to him talk about recruiting a lot and just some layers of things that you have to go through that a lot of people don't realize, like the relationship with the family and how some of these parents, from their perspective, they're sending off their 17, 18-year-old baby, who's, some of them have never been away from home before. Some of them have barely even been out of the state. They come from all different types of backgrounds, from all different parts of the state, and of course a few from other states, but some of them are leaving home for the first time, and he talks a lot about that. And so I know he cares a ton about the players and developing them into leaders. The players that he would bring to the Big 12 media days, typically you bring your captains, right? Colin Johnson, Zach Shackelford, Sam Ehlinger, Malcolm Roach, so Connor Williams was there in 2018, so he always talked a lot about that, about developing, players into leaders, which, leadership, I mean, is there another trait more important to the game? I don't know. You have to have those guys. So I know that was a really big deal to him. So I think he'll land, I think he'll land somewhere. I don't know if he's gonna get a head coaching job, but Steve says, I think it's a big mistake. He seems to be doing pretty well now. Oh no, sorry, I just clicked on the wrong one. I kind of missed Mac Brown. Yeah. The Mac attack is definitely looks like he's back in his element. I don't know how much longer Mac's going to coach, but yeah, he's done well with what he has. Sam Howell's a good quarterback, though. I think he's legit quarterback. Sorry, these comments keep bumping up, and I keep having to scroll up to catch them again. Cody says Texas fans deserve a Sarkisian press conference Tuesday immediately after the national championship. He better come in with his hair on fire. Yeah. Supposedly next week there's going to be a fuller, longer press conference and having just hearing from Sarkisian. But sure, he's going to coach in the national championship game this coming Monday. So, where will his head be? Brian says incoming coaching staff will have a pretty good Texas team. I hope they develop them. Yeah, for sure. Definitely some good young guys. Alex Collins, Bijan Robinson. Even some guys like Jake Smith and Jordan Whittington who haven't really produced as much, but again, when you have Brennan Eagles and Josh Moore, and Brennan Eagles, Josh Moore, Jake Smith, and Jordan Whittington aren't all going to get 700 yards, right? There's just not enough passes to go around. And one thing I'll say too about this season and the bowl game and everything, I'm super happy for Josh Moore. A guy that was basically out of the program for a year because of a mistake he made, got a second chance, had a really good season, had a great bowl game. I'm so super happy for him. I love to see stuff like that. Guys that stick around, learn, grow, get better, and take full advantage of a second chance. That's awesome. So I'm super happy for Josh Moore. Carl says Texas traded up. Maybe not Urban Meyer, maybe not Urban up, but much better than Herman. He dug his own grave. It wasn't going to change. I hope they traded up. I don't know. It's going back. The one thing that I really do feel confident about Sarkisian is that he's at least been around Power 5 conferences and Power 5 teams in going against some of those teams for a long time, and he's been in the NFL too. So where Herman came from being a coordinator at Ohio State and then head coach at Houston for a minute. And then jumping right into Texas. And I was pumped about Tom Herman 4 years ago. I really was. I was really hoping that, I was really, really excited about it. And, hey, let's give Herman some credit. The program did better than it did at the very end of the Mac Brown, tenure and certainly through Charlie Strong's years. So, we'll see. Hopefully, it helps in recruiting. But yeah, you got to develop your players, and you got to use your players the right way, man. Miguel says we need to keep Stan Drayton and Oscar Giles on the coaching staff, boot out Herb Hand and the wide receiver coach. But yeah, Drayton's staying. That's the word. Oscar Giles, I haven't heard anything about. Herb Hand, offensive line coach. I doubt. I doubt he stays. I would expect a lot more offensive turnover, given that Sarkisian is an offensive coach. If Chris Ash does stay, maybe there is more consistency on defense. Drew says, is Muschamp coming back? I read something today from, I think it was 24/7 Sports. I'm not sure. There's been so many little articles and stories and stuff, but that Muschamp was offered the job or talked to about it and turned it down. I don't know. But yeah, that was this morning. Clay says that Sarkisian's style of offense is perfect for Bijan, Whittington, Jake Smith, and Josh Moore. We need to win battles in the trenches to solidify. Yeah, I mean, you guys know me. If you've hung around on this page for even a week, how much I talk about how the game is played from the line of scrimmage out. You have to win the battle at the line. Everything branches out from there. The running game, the quarterback dropping back, giving time to read, all that type of stuff. So, it's definitely, it definitely starts there. The skill position guys are fun. It's fun to figure out, well, how are they going to be used? What impact are they going to be kind of allowed to get creative with them, just in terms of how do you get, Jordan Whittington the ball in open space and then let him do what he's good at. I never, even though Whittington started off as a running back last year because of injuries, he's not really a running back. He's kind of a hybrid slot position. Figure out how to just get him the ball in open space type of player. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I want to see what ideas he has, to kind of get these guys involved consistently. Because, I mean, how many times, like, for a few games, we would see Josh Moore kind of disappear. We'd see Jake Smith disappear. We'd see Whittington disappear. But I would love for this new offense, if it has, more of a dynamic guy like Casey Thompson, but a solid full-time feed him the ball running back like Bijan, right? Why are we doing this thing where Bijan gets, he just looks awesome and it's working and it's clicking, and then we throw Roschon Johnson in there just because we can, just because, that's what we do? Like, why are we not sticking with what obviously is working? So, those are some of the major frustrating things for me. Jerry says, "Do you think Sarkisian can cherry pick Floyd, Bama's offensive line coach, who flipped the Brockemeyer brothers from Texas?" And if you, yeah, that's right. I think only one of them, Blake. I can't remember the first name, so Blake was one. I think only one was, I think, was projected for Texas in the win. I don't know. Maybe you're right, Jerry. Maybe both Brockemeyer brothers, the offensive linemen, were kind of leaning toward Texas, but I doubt it. I don't think I don't see a guy like Steve Sarkisian, who's only been back at Alabama for a couple of years, being able to just pick whoever he wants off of Nick Saban's staff. There were some reports and rumors, and Wikipedia is not the end all be all. It's not a news source. But if you go to Wikipedia's page, he's listed as interim head coach for Alabama. So there's some talk and rumors about that he was going to take over for Saban and that Saban was going to retire after this year. I don't believe it. If that's the case, I think he would have stayed to take over the Alabama program. But I don't see him cherry picking Alabama's offensive line coach. Not saying it isn't going to happen. Looks like my feed is starting to skip here. Sorry about that. Yeah, Caleb said the Brockemeyers have already signed. A lot of people are doing it. There's a lot of 4 and 5 star big timers that are hitting the portal. I think I saw the other day that LSU had a 5-star guy. Highlights aren't coming up. Miguel says, "Feed Bijan. Let's run Casey's RPOs. As far as the wide receivers, I don't know who gets the ball as long as they can catch it." Well, the one thing about the wide receivers is that Josh Moore is still coming back. Jake Smith, Jordan Whittington, Brennan Eagles is gone, but you've still got Wiley at tight end, Malcolm Epps at tight end. Cade Brewer is coming back, but I think Wiley should be the guy. Who else? Cavante Dixon, Washington. I was about to say James Washington, Marcus Washington. So some experience coming back at wide receiver without a doubt. But yeah, I agree. I would love to see Bijan as the core part of the offense and giving him the ball, making him the threat, making him what defenses have to key on, and then using that against him with Casey, with his ability. So. Yeah, Caleb says, "Why didn't Wiley play in the bowl game? He was suited up. Could he be hitting the portal?" Man, I hope not. Very underutilized, I think. And again, a tight end isn't going to give up a ton of yardage and touchdowns like that. This isn't Iowa. Going back to the point, I think a lot of us look at stats and we see like, why didn't Jake Smith get the ball more? If you throw the ball 30 times a game, 35 times a game, and you complete 25 of those, if you got 4 or 5 receivers, that's not a lot of catches per receiver, right? So, and if you're going to have a number one guy that is, that's your guy, there's not enough passes and catches to go around. But yeah, I agree. I don't know. I would love to see Wiley more. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't know the playbook as well. Maybe he doesn't run the routes from that position as well. I don't know, but he's a big, lanky power forward type of tight end. He reminds me of Jermichael Findley. Remember when he was here? I would love to see him more. Mick says, "Would you consider Sarkisian a player's coach?" I don't know. I don't know enough about him. I just kind of know his record, right? Washington, USC, went to the Falcons for a while, then came back to Alabama. I believe he was back at Alabama in 2018. So, I don't know. That term players coach to me means different things to different people. To some people, I think it means a player friendly coach, right? And to others, I think it means, you know, a, a guy who is coddles to players, right? Make sure players get their playing time that they want, right? So to some people it means a positive term, to some it means a negative. So I don't know. To me, it means a coach that cares more about developing the players and who they are as people and really important like that. I think Mac Brown was that type of player. Um, I don't see Nick Saban being that type of player, but I think his players love him. I think his players totally respect him. The points to win. What else, guys? Clay says that Wiley is an NFL type player. Um, Ricky says there's no reason we can't use Bijan and Roshan Johnson the way Auburn used Ronnie Brown and Cadillac Williams, or even the way we used Jamal Charles and Ron Taylor. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, Roshan Johnson obviously is more of a downhill tough runner. He made that really awesome play where he shook like 3 tackles on his touchdown run, where Bijan obviously is more of a do it all speed, shiftiness, juke, spin move, all around talented back. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good comparison. Cadillac Williams, Ronnie Brown from Auburn back in 04, I believe. They were both drafted top 5 picks in the NFL. Ronnie Brown was more of the bigger bruiser, where Cadillac Williams was more of the speed, flashy guy. And then obviously Ramonce Taylor was more of a running back. To me, he's more of a Jordan Whittington type of guy. Maybe slightly bigger than Whittington, but to me, Ramonce Taylor was as much of a good, reliable receiver than he was a running back out of the backfield. And Jamal Charles was just so freaking fast and just one of the best balancing abilities I've ever seen. So, but no, I think that's a good point. But I think you gotta go with a guy, right? The rotation thing drives me nuts. Why not go with what's working? And if that's Roshan Johnson for a half, if he's just pounding it and getting first downs, okay. Ramonce was special. What happened to him? There's actually a really good go to YouTube and search Ramonce Taylor and what he's doing with like kids camps right now. I definitely think he got into some trouble after his time at Texas. It really kind of toward the end of his time at Texas. But it's a really cool story because he's really kind of turned it around. It's really cool to see. He's running like kids athletic camps and football camps and things like that. I forget who did the piece, but it's on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and do Ramonce Taylor, gives back to kids camps or something like that. It's really cool to see. Kevin, any word on Keontae Ingram? Nothing official. I mean, I think I know as much as you guys do. I haven't seen any update that he's looking to transfer. So whatever. I still like Keontae Ingram. I know he has his fumbles. Keontae Ingram makes big mistakes at the worst times, but he's a good running back. He's big. He's athletic. He's strong. He's had some injury problems. He wouldn't be the number 1 running back coming back next year, and I think he wants to be a number 1 running back, which that's fine. I still like the guy. I like when he's out there. I kind of hold my breath that he's not gonna fumble at the worst times, like he did against TCU. Clay says I agree on the running back rotation. It's fine as long as you have a bell cow. Yeah, and at that point, it's not really a rotation. It's just a, sometimes you do go with a guy based on a certain situation in the game. Um, depending on where you are on the field, what yardage you need, using those strengths. But you know, Bijan obviously is that type of all around, and he can catch, right? You can throw him the ball. He made a couple of long sideline catches this year, um, routes coming out of the backfield. So, but yeah, you definitely got to have more than one guy. Oh yeah, Kevin brings up a good point. Troy Oimir, yeah, for sure. He, the true freshman 4-star receiver, was working with the first team offense in a lot of practices, and there were videos that came out of him making stupid catches before he blew his knee in practice. But yeah, that's a really good point, Kevin. I had forgotten about him when I was going over Moore, Whittington, Jake Smith, Marcus Washington, Dixon, all those guys. But yeah, that's a good point. Everybody was pumped about him, big bodied type of receiver. His stature kind of reminded me of Roy Williams, really athletic. So yeah, hopefully he heals up. Hopefully he's good and works his way in there too. But yeah, forgot to mention him. Miguel's been down on Keontae Ingram since he dropped the wide open touchdown pass in the end zone against LSU. Yeah. Bijan is the dude. He is a dude. I love Bijan too. If y'all follow him on like Instagram and stuff, he doesn't post a lot, but he's always so positive. He's always smiling. He just seems to be like a mature, smart guy. Like he doesn't seem like a guy that's going to be getting into trouble. He looks like he could be a Sam Ehlinger, Colt McCoy, Vince Young type, Cedric Benson type of legacy player, right? Not just in what he contributes, but the type of guy that you want representing your program. He's always posting spiritual, positive messages. He's a good-looking kid, like he's kind of got it all. So yeah, I mean, he's the type of guy that you want representing your program for sure. What else, guys? Yeah, Jimmy nails it. It's time to start winning at Texas, and that's championships. Absolutely, you got to at least win the conference championship. This program should be in the national title conversation most years. By the time December rolls around, Texas should be in the running most years. You can't lose to TCU, Iowa State, sometimes Oklahoma State, overtime against the TTs. You got to you've got to at least win the conference. Yeah, that's the goal. You can't just hang around and be kind of good, right? You can't pull an Aggie and act like you've accomplished something just because Alabama did, or just because LSU did, or just because Georgia has made it into the top 4 a couple of times, right? You can't ride coattails. That doesn't cut it. How much do you think the defensive staff will return? I don't know. I thought toward the end of the season the defense got better and better. They were stepping up. I think guys were reading better in the backfield, and I think the front guys were attacking better, getting better pressure. Obviously, we know what what you're going to get out of Coburn, T'Vondre Sweat. I thought stepped up to look good. Really excited for Alex Collins to see if they're going to use him more of a traditional, more on the inside. Are they going to move him, to the outside some? Yeah, going to miss Joseph Osai, obviously, as the legit pass rush threat who can also stand up and cover. But but among the staff, I don't know. We'll see. If I just had to guess, I think more the defense would stay than the offense, being that Sarkisian is an offensive coach. If Ash is retained, which I hope he is, I hope they keep Ash. I thought Ash did a great job improving the defense through the season. At times they were incredibly frustrating, but overall, yeah, I thought Ash was good. Do you think we can steal any recruits with the new hire? Maybe. No, I don't know. This year probably not, because now that we have an early signing day in early December, that's when most of these guys sign, and then you have some stragglers through actual signing day in February. So I don't see it happening this year. Maybe next year, maybe. If I was one of those kids, I would kind of wait to see what happened. Larry says that Casey Thompson looked super sharp in the Alamo Bowl. Was that a fluke, or we've had a better QB? No, I don't think we've had a better quarterback sitting on the bench for 3 years. And yeah, this was Casey Thompson's third year in the program as a redshirt sophomore. But yeah, he looked ready, and that's exactly what you want from your next quarterback. And they didn't hold back with Casey. He was throwing the ball. He was throwing the ball downfield. He looked mentally, physically as prepared as you could hope a backup quarterback would look like. So yeah, that was really exciting to see. He completed 8 of 10 passes, I believe. Yeah, I like Miguel's point. Basically, a number 5 roster, I'm assuming that's what you mean, based on recruiting rankings for this year, should not have been 7-3. Absolutely. Or you should at least, you got to beat TCU and Iowa State. One loss, okay, maybe one loss to Oklahoma, and you beat Iowa State and Oklahoma State, or one loss to Oklahoma State, but you beat Oklahoma and Iowa State, and you get yourself in the conference championship game, and then you win that. Oklahoma started off 1-2. Remember. So David says, just reported not long ago, Yursich, Herb Hand, and strength coach Yancey McKnight have been let go. I did hear that Yancey McKnight, I'd heard that already. I had not heard about Herb Hand and Mike Yursich, so that's interesting. But of course, Mike Yursich isn't going to stay. Sarkisian is an offensive coach, so okay, that's interesting. We'll look that up too for sure. All right, guys, we're past 50 minutes. Great stuff. I really appreciate you. We had about 75 people on it at max here. Always appreciate the comments. Definitely, that's what I want this page to be, is you guys to chime in. Check us out at TexasHornsFans.com. Give this video a like, share it out. We're getting some sponsors here on the page too. So we're going to do a virtual trading card show here pretty soon with a pretty awesome Texas Longhorn collection. That's my wheelhouse. So if any of you guys are interested in that, we're gonna put that together pretty soon. Always try to do more videos. Timing is rough, but always appreciate the support, and we'll see you next time. Hook 'em, horns up.